you'll see that actually choosing to study and to live at the University of Huddersfield not only offers great value in terms of your tuition fees, but also the cost of living and accommodation is much lower at Huddersfield than it is in many other parts of the country, such as Manchester or London. And then we'll talk about employability and placements. The University of Huddersfield places great importance on its students getting real-world experience, making sure that students understand how what they learn in the classroom or the laboratory applies to real-world work scenarios, so that when you finish your degree and you go get a job, that you understand straight away how what you've learned at university can be applied to make sure that you're successful in your chosen career. And they offer students the opportunity to get experience as part of their degree through a placement service. So let's look at the first of those, which is teaching excellence. So Huddersfield is able to demonstrate teaching excellence in 3 ways. First of all, the staff at the University of Huddersfield rank in the top 3 in England for the proportion who hold doctorates, who have higher degrees and hold teaching qualifications. It's been a key strategy of the university over a number of years now that all of the academics teaching at the university should be studying for either a PhD or for a higher degree, so that they have not just a really high level of knowledge in their subjects, but that they also have done some research in an area that is relevant to the subject that they teach. And again, many university academics at the university hold teaching qualifications. Now, that might sound like an obvious thing for teachers at a university to do, but there is no requirement for university level staff to hold a teaching qualification, and therefore you may have an academic who is highly qualified in their area, but isn't necessarily a trained and qualified teacher, doesn't have the skills necessary to be able to communicate and share and impart that knowledge to new students. And so the fact that Huddersfield has really committed to making sure that a high proportion of their academics have a teaching qualification demonstrates how important they take the teaching of their undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. So as it says here, you'll learn from the best, helping you to be the best in your subject area. Huddersfield is also a 5-star university, and QS Stars has awarded the university 5 stars overall, highlighting key areas including teaching, but also employability and internationalization. And the University of Huddersfield has for a long time been a very international university. They have been very active internationally, both in terms of student recruitment, but also in terms of the recruitment of academics. So when you study at Huddersfield, you'll be learning alongside both British students and international students. You'll also be learning from British academics as well as international academics. In terms of careers and employability, Huddersfield is in the top 20 nationally for work placements. That is the number of students who undertake a work placement at their university. Now, 100% of Huddersfield students have the opportunity to undertake professional work experience during their studies. Not all students will choose to spend either a short period of time or a year doing a work placement, but many students choose to do that because they see the value that brings to both to their final year of studies, but also to their careers once they graduate. And typically a student will study for 2 years, then take 1 year to work in industry in a job or a career linked to their studies, and then they will return to the university for their final year, able to apply what they have learned in that year in placement. During that time in placement, they will have been applying their knowledge, their skills at a higher intensity for a longer period of time in the world of work. And then they'll be able to use that application, that ability, that experience to enhance their performance in their final year of their studies. And many of those students go on to secure jobs after university as a result of the work placement that they have done. Now, my son is currently looking at applying to university, and he has been visiting universities in recent weeks and months. And one of the questions that he and I have been asking of universities is around their placement scheme. I'm very used to working with universities like Huddersfield that are incredibly focused on employability and giving all students the opportunity to do a placement. And I have been really surprised at some Russell Group universities, some very high-ranked universities who have little or no support in place for work placement. So we talk about this a lot, but not all universities offer students this opportunity. So if a key part of your decision to come to the UK and to study with us is to enhance your career prospects and to get real world work experience, then the University of Huddersfield is one of the very best in terms of giving you those opportunities and the support that they give you to make sure that you're able to get the work placement that you want. And in the most recent TEF rankings, which is an assessment of a number of factors, including research, the university was ranked gold for student outcomes, student experience, and overall. So now's a chance for us to introduce you to some of the team. And actually, Robert, perhaps you might be a little bit best placed to do this. So could I just ask you to say a few things about some of the names and faces on the screen?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Simon. So this is the the senior management team at the International Study Centre. You can see on the far left there is Linda, who's our centre director. We've then got Stephen, who is our deputy director, who's in charge of curriculum and teaching. Leanne's then on there, who is our head of quality and also our designated safeguarding lead. So she'll make sure that you're staying nice and safe while you're studying with us. And then there's myself, Robert Brown. I'm the head of the student experience team. And then you can see on there, we've also got Evangelia Papathanasiou, who is our head of academic English skills. So that's particularly important because she'll be making sure that you are able to produce good quality academic assignments in English. And it will actually, a lot of students have found that when they progress on to the university, because of the tuition they've had in academic English skills, they actually find that they're ahead of the UK students that are going to university in terms of knowing what to do for their assignments and work. And we've then got Abdulaziz Matani, who is our head of engineering. And so he manages the engineering, science and computing side of things from us.
Thank you, Robert. So all of these people are very present at the centre. When you arrive in the centre, you'll have the opportunity to meet the team, to meet Robert, to meet Linda, as well as meeting your teachers. Everyone at the centre is looking forward to welcoming you and to making sure that you have a really good arrival at the centre, what we call a soft landing. So you are able to understand everything that you need to do, where to find everything, and that you're successful from the moment you arrive in the centre. So now a word on your Welcome Hub. So your Welcome Hub is an online resource where you can find all of the information you need to make sure that you are prepared and ready for your arrival. You're able to access your Welcome Hub once you have confirmed your place on your course. So if you're on the session today and you haven't confirmed your place, please do take a look at your offer letter. On your offer letter, it will explain the conditions that you need to meet in order to either confirm your place or to receive an unconditional offer. If you have any questions at all, please do get in touch with us and we'll be able to help you with your offer letter. But once you confirm your place, you will receive an email with a link to the Welcome Hub and also an email with your username and password, which you'll need to access the pre-registration form. Now, please make sure that once you've confirmed your place, you do go on and complete that pre-registration form as soon as possible. Now, the registration form requires a number of pieces of information, and you may not have all those bits of information at the time that you first access the form. That's okay. You can log back in and continue to update the form as you go. And that pre-registration form is really important because that's what makes sure that everyone in the centre understands exactly when you're going to arrive so they can be ready for you on your arrival. But it's not just a pre-registration form. 30 days ahead of your start date, you'll also find your induction pack, with lots of information, including the timetable for your induction week or weeks. You'll also find information on how to access your virtual learning environment. All of the study resources for your course are stored on the virtual learning environment, the VLE. It's effectively a website where you'll find those resources available to you. You'll also find details of events, including the pre-enrollment event. Some of the events that we arrange, you are required to attend, you must attend. So please do check the Welcome Hub on a regular basis to see as those events are updated. You'll also find a pre-arrival guide with a huge amount of information covering everything that we're going to talk about today, as well as lots more detail on things like what to pack, what to bring with you, what to expect when you arrive in the UK. And also there is emergency contact information. So contact information for you when you arrive in the UK. If you have any issues on your arrival at the border or on your way to the centre, you can contact us using the emergency contact information. If you have any problems accessing the pre-registration form or accessing the Welcome Hub, please do contact the email address shown at the top right-hand side of the screen. You'll get through to someone incredibly helpful like Alex, who will help to solve any issues that you are facing. All right, so some of you on the call today may well be holding an offer for our November start. Now, our November start is a very popular choice for students. It is an enhanced induction, which means it is a longer induction than students at the International Study Centre typically receive. It runs for 3 weeks from the end of November through to middle of December. And it is designed to offer students that really soft landing of arriving in the UK and actually having time to settle into the study centre, settle into your accommodation, and be ready to start your full academic programme, which begins in January. It also offers a couple of other benefits. The period around Christmas, as you may be aware, is a time here in the UK when lots of things close down, lots of businesses, lots of organisations close for the Christmas period and everything starts to slow down. So applying for your visa around the Christmas period almost certainly leads to delays. It will typically take you longer to get your visa processed over the Christmas period than if you apply for your visa during late October and into November. So there's a real benefit there in terms of getting your visa processed more quickly. It's also cheaper to fly to the UK in November than it is over the Christmas period. Our courses typically start in the first 2 weeks of January, when a lot of international students are returning to the UK after the Christmas break. There's also a lot of holidaymakers and people returning for Christmas here in the UK are then perhaps heading back out overseas again in the first or second week of January. So you'll see a big difference between the cost of flights if you're traveling in November than you would if you were traveling to arrive at the start of January. So all of these reasons make November a good choice for students and have made it popular in the last year. So as a reminder, the start date for the enhanced induction is the 27th of November. You will receive a CAS for both the November induction and also your academic pathway starting in January. So you'll receive one visa to cover those 2 courses. The confirmation and payment deadline is stated on your offer if you're holding an offer for the November 27th start. We will look at CAS deadlines in a moment. There is no additional tuition fee for the enhanced induction period. So if you're holding an offer for January, you're thinking that perhaps it might be a good idea to come in November and you're interested, there's no additional fee for coming in November. Those 3 weeks of enhanced induction are offered free of charge. You will, of course, have additional costs relating to your accommodation and to your living costs. But for the course itself, there's no additional charge for that. The study plan is shown on the right-hand side of the screen here. So you join us in November to December on the enhanced induction, and then your main pathway program will begin in January and run either through until June or through until August. You'll then be able to progress onto your degree at the university from September next year. And what will you study in the additional 3 weeks? So you'll have 15 hours a week of face-to-face classes. And it's designed to help you in a number of ways. So it's designed to help you feel more confident and better prepared for the start of your studies. It will enhance your communication skills by enabling you to practice your English. You'll be able to interact with your fellow students, build friendships and relationships with your students prior to the start of your academic program. It will give the staff in centre the opportunity to assess your digital skills proficiency. It may be in that studying in the UK, you're going to have to use computers a lot more than you have done in the past, both in terms of engaging with your classes, studying and doing assessments. So it will allow the staff to understand if you need any additional support in any digital skills areas. It will help you feel part of a community. You know, arriving in a new country, at a new university and on a new course, that's a lot to take in, especially all in one go on your first day. So what we want you to be able to do is to arrive in centre, get to know people without the pressure of having to start your academic studies on the first day. So we'll really make sure that by the time you've completed the enhanced induction, that you're ready to study and to be successful straight away when you start your main pathway in January. It'll make sure that you understand what support is available. There is a huge amount of support available for students, both at the International Study Centre and the university, but understanding what is available and how to access it can often take some time. So we really emphasise your understanding of knowing what support is available through the induction programme so that you feel confident in terms of the support that you can get and also confident in terms of how to access it and in asking for help. There is no shame in asking for support and help relating to anything during your time in your studies, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident asking for that support. And of course, it will give you more time to adapt to living in the UK. Winter is on its way here. It's just turned a lot colder. So from wherever you're coming from, you may find that it's a lot colder than you're used to. It will give you a bit of time to adjust to that, to adjust your routines, and to make sure that you're ready to focus on your studies when they begin. As I mentioned, the November intake has been very popular, and we've got a short video to show you today. It's by a student called Shin, who's from Myanmar, and she's going to talk a little bit about her time on the November intake and how it helped her.
I learned about the university a little bit late. That's why I chose to study in November. And also that there were visa problems as well. And I wanted to get to know the city I'm going to be living in before starting straight away with the classes. You know, this gave me an opportunity to, make friends before I even went into classes. So it was a really nice decision. So in the first few weeks, we learned about, how to travel, trains, buses, a bit more safety. For me, I enjoyed meeting students from all over the world and then trying their amazing food, right? So being friends with them, they took me to restaurants from their country and I tried their food, and I would say that's the best part. I'm quite tired from traveling and all the visa processes, it was a really tiring thing to handle on my own. Since I'm a first generation student, I had no one to help me, so I was just doing it on my own. So when I got here, it was like I was just spending time with new friends and new people, so it was really nice. I would definitely recommend it, just so that you don't feel the pressure of starting classes right away when you move into a new country, so that you have a little bit more time to adjust to your surroundings, have fun, then go to classes, and you'll feel more ready.
There you go. So it certainly worked for Shin, and it certainly worked for many of our students who studied on the November intake with us last year. Okay, so we're now just going to spend a few minutes talking about preparing for your arrival and the start date of your course. So hopefully you've undertaken a number of these tasks already. If you are at offer stage still, it's really important that you think about the tasks that you have, the time that you have, and to make sure that you confirm for the right intake. There is still time to confirm and arrive for the November 27th start. But if that's what you want to do, then you do need to move quickly, get your place confirmed, and start to move through these stages. So the most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, is to apply for your visa in good time. There is still time to apply for your visa using the standard visa service, but as we get closer to the intake, you'll need to think about whether you're able to arrive using that service or whether you need to use a priority or super priority service. It is a requirement of your studies that you arrive in centre for the first day of term. It is vital that all students are here on the first day of term. There is a very strong connection, a strong link between students that arrive late and students that progress to the university. If you arrive on time, you are able to take part in the full induction schedule, and you'll understand all those things we've been talking about: where to get support, what your routine needs to be like, how to prepare for your studies, what technology you need. All of those things you'll be on top of if you arrive on time for the start of your course. You need to make sure that you know where you're going to live during your studies, either through university accommodation or through private accommodation. If you need information on booking rooms, again, you can contact the Central Student Support Team or contact your agent for information on available accommodation options. You need to make sure you've paid the required fees in your statement, which is attached to your offer letter. First of all, you need to make sure you've paid your CAS payment in order to receive your CAS, but then also you need to be up to date with your tuition fee payments before you arrive in centre. If you arrive in centre and you are not up to date with your tuition fee payments, you may not be allowed to enrol on your course. So please check your payment plan and make sure you're up to date with your fee payments before you arrive at the centre. Now, it's really important, again, that you book your travel in advance of your departure, but we recognise that this is sometimes, that students, are sometimes reluctant to do this until that they have received their visa. So please make sure that if you're not going to book your flight until you've got your visa, that you have decided which flight you're going to take, which airline, which date, which time. If you're able to reserve a flight, please do take advantage of that option. Sometimes that's only available through travel agents or directly with the airline. But please make sure you're really clear on your preferred option and also backup options if there is a delay in receiving your visa. If visa processing in your country is really swift and really reliable, then again, you may want to consider booking your flight before you've actually received your visa. But please do, through the pre-registration form, tell us about your travel plans, tell us your intended date of arrival, your intended flight details. As I mentioned earlier, you can always update the pre-registration form if your travel plans change. But please do complete that form, including your personal contact information, and keep us up to date. You do need to check on the Welcome Hub all the information relating to the equipment that you need to start your studies. Most important is going to be a laptop. The specifications of any laptop that you need to purchase are listed on the Welcome Hub. Please be aware that you cannot complete your studies using only a mobile phone. Some of the content is mobile enabled, and you will be able to view it and read it on your mobile phone, but you cannot complete assessments at university level using just a mobile phone. You will need a laptop for that. So please make sure you either bring a laptop with you that meets the specifications detailed on the Welcome Hub, or be prepared to buy a laptop when you are here in the UK. There are lots of places you can buy computers. We can provide you details of where to do that. And in recent years, the cost of laptops has come down quite significantly. For most courses, you don't need a high spec or expensive laptop at all. And there are lots of deals available for students once you arrive in the UK, if that's what you're going to do. You also need to make sure that you've got a valid passport. Obviously, you'll need your passport to apply for your visa, but you must have at least 6 months on your passport from your program start date. And if your passport is going to expire during your studies, you need to be prepared to apply for a new passport once you're here and once you're studying. You'll need to organise your money to bring with you, and you'll need to make copies of all your important documents. So all the documents that you have used to apply for your course, to apply for your visa, you need to make sure that you've got those with you and that you have copies as well. Please carry those in your hand luggage. Don't put them in your suitcase, because you may be asked to present some of those documents when you arrive at the border at immigration at the airport. And you'll have to go through that before you get your suitcase and your luggage. Please bring 4 passport-sized photographs with you. And if you don't know how you're going to get from the airport to your accommodation and you'd like us to arrange a taxi transfer, you can do that through the pre-registration form and book an online transfer with us. We're on standby, ready to help you with your transport needs. And then finally, please make sure you join one of our pre-enrollment events to make sure that you're able to log on to the virtual learning environment on your first day. We want to make sure that from your very first day with us, you're able to access all of the materials relating to your studies, so you don't lose any time being able to be ready for your course. Now, I'm not going to go through all the countries and all the dates on the screen, but you'll see here some of the key countries that our students come from and the CAS deadline. So the CAS deadline is the last date that you can request a CAS from our admissions team in order to then go and apply for your visa. So you need to make sure that by the date shown on the screen, you have requested your CAS and that you have provided all the documents necessary, including the signed preview, so that we can then issue your CAS to you. If you have not provided all the documents, not requested a CAS by the date shown on the screen, we won't be able to issue you a CAS and you'll need to defer to the next intake. So these are the CAS deadlines, are on the screen for the November intake. All of this information is available on the website, including our CAS deadlines. So please do take a look there afterwards and you'll find the CAS deadlines for your country. And these are the CAS deadlines for students starting in January. So for international foundation year students, depending on your country, you have up until the 5th of January to apply for your CAS. That's only for students who are already in the UK studying here. For most students, as you can see there, the deadline for the foundation year CAS is somewhere between the 8th and the 29th of December. Now, if you are holding an offer or you're confirmed for the International Year 1, which is offered on an integrated CAS, that means you get one visa for the International Year 1 and your degree programme, then the deadline is much earlier because that CAS is issued by the university, and the deadline for International Year 1 students to be CAS ready is the 17th of November. Okay, in terms of accommodation, Huddersfield, apologies, I'm barreling on, but actually I'm going to hand over to Robert at this point, partly because you've heard a lot from me, but also Robert knows a lot more about accommodation than I do. So Robert, I'll hand over to you.
Great, thanks, Simon. Yeah, so when you're here with us, there's a lot of good, safe and friendly accommodation for you to be living in town. One of the big advantages to living in Huddersfield as well is that in the sort of more northern areas of England, the accommodation is significantly cheaper than in the south. So you're going to be able to live in the sort of student halls of residence without having to pay the massive amounts that you'd be expected to pay if you were elsewhere in the UK. We are partnered with a particular accommodation provider called IQ in Huddersfield, and they have some particular accommodation blocks that are just behind the university. I can literally see them out of my window. They're very, very close, good quality accommodation, and you will be living with other students at the university, both UK students and other international students, both from the International Study Centre and students studying directly with the university. If, as it says there, if you are joining us in November, then we're going to be in touch with you very soon with more kind of instructions about how you can apply for accommodation in IQ or elsewhere in Huddersfield. You do really need to make sure that you are living in Huddersfield. If you are not living in Huddersfield, it is going to be potentially difficult for you to get to classes on time. you have a decent amount of classes every week. Probably you'll be looking at about 22 hours a week of time spent in class, and that will be across 5 days, Monday to Friday. So you will need to be in Huddersfield a lot. So it is really important that you are in Huddersfield, and if you are in Huddersfield, the dedicated student accommodation is by far the best option, because of the fact that it includes things like your utility costs and internet in the price that is being advertised. It actually often works out cheaper than if people go and find private accommodation themselves, sort of online or through a provider, basically because almost all of those private sort of shared houses and things, generally speaking, the rental costs will not include utility bills and internet costs. You will have to pay that in addition. Whereas if you are in managed student accommodation like IQ, that is all included in the one price. So you know exactly how much you're going to be paying every week, and it's not going to change. In terms of where we are located, Huddersfield is in a great location in the UK. So we are in Yorkshire, in areas of lovely countryside around and about the town. The town itself is a decent size with a good number of sort of shops, restaurants and coffee houses, that sort of thing. It's a very big student city. There are a lot of students living in the city. It's a very multicultural town. There are people from a lot of different backgrounds. So it's a very welcoming and very safe place to be coming to study. It's also got a great mix of different types of architecture. There are a lot of old Victorian and later Edwardian buildings in the middle of town. There are big old mill buildings that have been converted to other uses, and there are more modern buildings such as those on the university campus and the new health innovation campus that they're in the process of buying at the moment, building at the moment rather. In terms of living, if you're looking at accommodation, the best postcode areas to be living in, so if you look at the location's postcode, ideally you want somewhere that starts with HD1, because that means it's right sort of in the middle of Huddersfield, it's close to everything. And then as you go up in the numbers, they get slightly further out. So basically anything from HD1 to HD9 is probably going to be okay, but just be aware that if you're in HD9, it's probably going to take you a little while to get in. You'll probably have to use the bus. The other advantage that we have in Huddersfield is that if you do want to go out into a bigger city, we are very, very close to Leeds. It's 20 minutes by train. We're also only about 30 minutes to Manchester as well. So it is very convenient if you're wanting to go out there to either visit people, go shopping, potentially if you want to work in Leeds or Manchester as well. What I will say though is it's probably not reasonable to travel into Huddersfield and live in Leeds or Manchester, just because the trains can be unreliable. And if you're having definitely to get into Huddersfield for a certain time for your classes, it's best not to be relying on that. But for the purposes of sort of going out and enjoying yourselves, doing some shopping, that sort of thing, it's great. In terms of living in Huddersfield, I've already sort of said a little bit about this, but we're a sort of historic market town. Traditionally, Huddersfield used to have a big textile industry. As I mentioned, there's a lot of old mill buildings that have now been repurposed into other things. We've got some fantastic, beautiful old Victorian buildings in the town centre, like the Byram Arcade, the Town Hall, and some of the old bank buildings as well. There's 20,000 students living and studying in the town, so there's a massive student community. There's a lot going on. There's cafes, live music. There's a local theatre that has a lot going on at it, including obviously sort of plays, but also comedy nights, musical performances, and then they also have performances of orchestras, music, and live comedy and things at the town hall in town as well. Plus, the additional things that are going on at the university, so guest lectures, events that the Students' Union and student societies put on, and that sort of thing. So there is an awful lot to do in Huddersfield. I think we've got a short video there from one of our former students about what it's like to live in Huddersfield as well.
I've lived in Huddersfield throughout my foundation year, throughout my undergraduate. It's easy to live. Like where I live, wherever you live, maybe in town, you can just walk to a super, you can walk to the Tesco, to the Sainsbury's, you can walk to the train station, you can walk wherever you want. It's calm. Everyone is almost a student in town, so like no one's a stranger. You just feel like you fit in, and you feel like it's the best place to. They're all like, living here can contribute to you getting better results in your studies. I've never thought of leaving Huddersfield, especially with the accommodations close to the uni. That's the most important thing. You can just get up, just walk down. Not worry about trains, appointments. If you don't worry about being late. It's very convenient living here.
So in terms of the cost of living, as I mentioned, it is significantly lower in Huddersfield than in London. You can see some sort of suggested amounts that it might cost for things in the UK. So £114 a week for accommodation, roughly. You can get accommodation in managed student halls of residence cheaper than that. That's an average. It depends on what type of room you get and what halls of residence you go for, but yeah, £114 a week is average. You can obviously eat in restaurants here potentially from only £10. Pair of jeans, £52, depending on what sort of jeans you're buying. I would say branded jeans, £52. If you just want, a standard pair, not that much. Monthly rail passes, depending on where you're coming from, can be a bit more expensive, which is another point about making sure you're living in Huddersfield. The public transportation can be very expensive, so if you're making sure you're living in Huddersfield, you're going to save yourself a significant amount of money.
Thanks, Robert. I'd agree. A £52 pair of jeans is a very nice pair of jeans. Even my son, who has more expensive taste than me, doesn't get anywhere near that. So yeah. That's an interesting one. But also, again, I've been looking at a lot of university accommodation recently. And again, with my son, I've not seen anything for less than £150 a week at other universities in the north of England. So Huddersfield really does offer exceptional value for students, and it's well worth thinking about the money that you'll be saving by choosing Huddersfield. So just a few more slides to go. Now, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about becoming a student ambassador and really taking the opportunity to share your experience of studying in the UK with other international students thinking about coming to study with us. Again, there's a short video here that I'll just play for you. Or not, if the video decides not to work. Never mind, I will tell you about becoming a student ambassador instead. So why would you become a student ambassador? What will you do and what will you benefit from? So the benefits are that it helps you build your experience and skills, and it gives you access to professional training sessions. It allows you to improve your CV and put down the fact that you've been a student ambassador there for employers to consider, and will also give you an official LinkedIn recommendation when you establish your LinkedIn profile, which is something that students are increasingly doing towards the start of their studies rather than afterwards when they graduate. It'll help you build an international network. You'll meet students from all around the world who are also interested in sharing their experiences and reflecting upon the time that they're having in the UK and how their studies are helping them with their career ambitions and their own personal development. And it will open up the possibility of future paid internship opportunities. So what will you do as a student ambassador? Well, it's really about sharing your experience. Some of that is about documenting your experience, and some of it is about simply sharing it with others. So we'll ask you to take photographs. We'll ask you to make videos of your time. You'll have the opportunity to share those videos through vlogs. We might ask you to help answer FAQs. Those of us that work in education have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, but perhaps it's a long time since we studied at university, and certainly those of us on the call might never have been an international student before. So actually hearing from other students and having students who've been through the process themselves, perhaps sometimes that's the best way of helping new international students understand really what to expect, how to prepare, and how to be successful. You will be involved in social media takeovers. We'll ask you to attend face-to-face events, actually to meet people in person. You'll take part in focus groups, contributing to both the way that we deliver our education, but also shaping the future of courses and the student experience for international students who are yet to arrive in the UK. And we might ask you to help by writing blogs as well. So you can contact us to find out more, and you can apply to become a student ambassador. Full details are available either on the Welcome Hub, or you can speak to staff in centre when you arrive for more information. And we just wanted to highlight one opportunity for you, which is a social media competition centred around the induction activity. And there is a prize of a pizza party for the winning centre. So this is a competition taking place across all of our international study centres across the UK. And it will take place during the first 3 weeks of the November enhanced induction. So we want you to get involved, to participate, for your chance to win a party for you and your new friends that you'll make at the study centre. All you have to do is take photos and submit them, photos of your experience of studying abroad in the UK and the beginning of your education journey here in the UK. Take those pictures and send them in to us. You'll be competing against the other study centres across England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland to produce the most content and the highest quality social posts. As I've said, the centre that generates the best or the most content will win a pizza party. A new challenge will be set each week, and handouts will be available in centre with more information, so you can get involved and get active as soon as you arrive in the UK. Okay, it is really important that you have insurance in place ahead of your travel to the UK. Now, many students choose to take out Study Care Insurance Plus with us. Your safety is our priority, and we strongly advise you to have adequate medical and accident insurance. Study Care has been designed specifically to offer you comprehensive protection and support during your studies at the International Study Centre. Insurance cover is offered in terms of 12 months, which covers the length of your current academic course, and it covers you for emergency medical expenses. It covers you in the event of a missed departure to the UK. It covers your personal property, such as your money and your credit cards, in the event that they are lost or stolen. It covers you in the event of a personal accident, including for liability. And in the event that you have to be repatriated, that means you have to travel back to your home country. It covers the cost of an emergency repatriation, including associated expenses. There is a 24-hour emergency telephone number available to you in case you need to make any claim at all. And it also covers you for travel expenses and essential purchases in the event of something going wrong. You can learn more about Study Care Insurance with a brochure that's available both through the link in this PowerPoint presentation, but also it's available on the International Studies Centre website. Please read it through. Through the process of your application, you'll either need to confirm that you wish to take out Study Care Insurance or provide confirmation of an alternative insurance plan being in place. So what happens next? If you have already confirmed your place, then please go and access the Welcome Hub. Remember to check your email address where you'll find a link to the hub and the username and password that you need to access and complete the pre-registration form. Please make sure that you complete that pre-registration form. It's a really important step. It helps us be ready for your arrival and to be able to be aware of exactly when you're traveling to the UK. If you have any issues accessing the Welcome Hub, if you don't have your login or your username and password, please contact the email address shown on the screen. Then you need to attend a pre-enrollment event. You must register and join one of our pre-enrollment events where you will find out what to expect during induction, how to register and access your induction sessions and your VLE. You'll find the details of those through the events section of the Welcome Hub. And then your term begins. So if you're joining the November start for the International Foundation year, that begins on the 27th of November. If you're just joining the January start for the IFY or the International Year 1, that starts on the 15th of January. And as a reminder, you must arrive for the first day of term ready to start your induction program. So that's it for today's session. We do have a few minutes left for Q&A. I can see there's been some questions as we've gone along, but those have all been answered. I'll just pause for a moment, and if you do have a question, please feel free to put it in the Q&A box. If you don't have any questions, don't worry. If you think of something later on, you can contact your agent, or you can contact the Central Student Support Team on the email address shown that we've been showing throughout the presentation. You can join our online community. You can ask questions of ourselves and also of current and future students. So join us online at Facebook and Instagram. You can see our details there. Please follow our pages, follow our Instagram. You can tag us in any of your posts using the hashtag #MyHudStory. So there aren't any more questions at this stage. So we'll wrap up there. Big thanks to Robert, to Alex, and to Juliet for today's session. Thank you to you for attending. We're delighted you're considering joining us at the Huddersfield ISC, and we look forward to welcoming you in either November or January. We wish you the best of luck with all of your preparations for your studies. Do contact us if you have any questions, but for now, thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.